So just to tell you a little bit about myself before we start, so that you feel that I'm qualified to speak to you about this subject of yoga and business. I'm Katie Rose. I grew up in London, and I left school at 16 to start working in a yoga studio because I've always been obsessed with yoga, even before it was as trendy as it is now. And I started out working in a yoga studio, you know, rolling mats, refilling the toilet paper, lighting candles, just like a minimum wage job. I worked my way up there. That studio was Try Yoga, which is a very big exclusive yoga studio in London, to becoming manager of that place after a few years, which was wonderful. And I learned so much doing that job. I'm so grateful for having had that opportunity very young to be given that much responsibility. And then I moved because my boyfriend at the time moved to Sydney, Australia. And, you know, I was young and in love, and it's easy to move across the world when you're young and in love. So I moved to Sydney and opened my own studio. I thought, well, you know, I've learned a lot from running a studio in London. I'm going to give it a go. And I opened a studio and it was really successful. I just got very lucky that it was kind of really good timing. It was like that time when yoga was just exploding, like in the early 2000s. And eventually that grew to being 4 studios. I was running 4 studios at one point. And then I just kept having babies, and I had too many yoga studios and too many babies. And I felt like I was going a bit crazy, just trying to do too many things. So when I had my 3rd child, I sold the studios and took a bit of time out and was focusing on being a mum. Still teaching a bit. I've always taught because I just love yoga so much and I love to share, but a lot less. And then I got divorced, and I needed to start making money because, you know, divorced all of a sudden. So I went really into working online at that point. I really wanted to be around for my children. I'd kind of got used to being not exactly a stay-at-home mum, but just around a lot more. I didn't want to go back into running a full-on school or doing something really big. And I thought there must be an opportunity in this online space to make some money and do what I do and what I love, and to share yoga with people. And so that was it was 7 years ago now, so whatever that was, just before COVID. And I built this whole kind of online platform. And then I got really lucky. I've had some good karma in my life that COVID happened. And it was the perfect time to just be starting online. I had everything set up, and then, you know, everybody got locked down, and it was like, okay, now's the time to start studying yoga and learning online. And so the online business built and really grew. And so I've been doing that for a few years, and I love it, and it's been successful. And then about, I think 4 years ago now, 3 or 4 years ago, more and more people kept asking me, like, how did you do what you did? And about the business side? You know, how do I get set up online? How do I like get more people to come to my classes, marketing, all of this type of thing? And so I started sharing that and telling people about it, and kind of reflecting on how I had done it and the things I had learned. Because, you know, sometimes when you're good at something, you don't always know how you got good at it. It's like, it's just something I've always done and I'm kind of good at. And then I had to kind of go backwards and go, all right, well, what actually did I do here, and sort of map it out. And that became a program of its own, which is now called Bhakti Business. My other business, my yoga business, is Bhakti Rose. And I now share business training and support teachers to grow their businesses. So that's me. Something I always want to tell people is that most of my income still comes from being a yoga teacher and sharing yoga training. So about 70% of my income is still over in Bhakti Rose, which is where I teach teachers. Sarah's just done my teacher training. You know, I teach Ayurveda. We run retreats. We take women to India a couple of times a year. All of that. And then over here in Bhakti Business is about 30% of my income. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is because I don't know if the algorithm is a funny thing, right? I was telling someone very early in the morning, I woke up early and my daughter was watching TV and I was just scrolling on my phone. You know, I could tell you that I was meditating, but I wasn't. I was scrolling on my phone. And this thing came up on the algorithm of like I get a lot of Indian stuff because we take the retreats to India. The Indian Prime Minister apparently is famous around the world for hugging rather than shaking hands. If you guys, I don't know if you know this or you've seen this, but apparently, you know, all the heads of state, when they meet each other, shake hands very normal formal way of greeting. Apparently he's a hugger, right? So he comes and he's a big guy, like gives these big bear hugs. And this kind of interested me for like a second, and I looked at it. I must have clicked on it or paused on it or something. And then as I was like having my cup of tea and scrolling, all of a sudden I started getting, I'm not exaggerating now, like every other thing that came up was how heads of state greet each other, as if I was like particularly interested in, you know, oh, it's the Italian Prime Minister meeting the French Prime Minister. They did a kiss because they're European, you know. I was like, I'm not interested in this. I just paused for 1 second and I'm getting the algorithm, or like, you know, you look at a handbag, God forbid you look at a handbag, then you'll be flooded with like hundreds of handbags. So this is how social media works. We live in our little bubbles. And one of the bubbles I live in is business coaching. So I see a lot, you know, the algorithm sends me a lot of business coaches and how to make $1 million overnight and how to like come up with an idea that everyone's going to buy and all that kind of stuff. And what I notice is a lot of business coaches online it's sort of like a pyramid system. The coaches are coaching the coaches who have coaches, and then their coaches. And a lot of people have never run a business other than a coaching business. And some people have made a lot of money doing that. Like there's a lot of money to be made coaching the coaches who coach the coaches who coach the coaches. If you get to the top, you can charge a lot of money. And it kind of sucks. I feel like that's not, it's not like, it doesn't feel real. It's like a bit smoke and mirrors. Like what are we really teaching here? And so I really want you guys to know that everything I share with you today, and you know, if you sign up for any of my free programs or even any of my paid programs, it's based on having been in the yoga industry for like 1 million years and seen it go through all these different incarnations and still teaching and still earning the lion's share of my income from teaching. And yeah, it's not like a business that just supports businesses. And I feel like that really matters. It's important. So with all of that said, I'd love to know how many of you are yoga teachers? Just raise your hand if you're a teacher. Yeah, most of you. Amazing. And how many of you consider yourself to be self-employed, like you have a business of some kind? See, that's already an interesting distinction, right? So okay, how many of you teach? All of you again, so most of you. So some of you are yoga teachers that teach, but you don't consider yourselves to be self-employed. And that's the first distinction I'd love you to make, is that if you are a yoga teacher and you are sharing what you do in some capacity, then you are a business, right? And there's this real block where, and you just demonstrated it beautifully with the hand raising, where people consider themselves, yeah, I'm a teacher, and I sort of teach a bit, or I share, but I'm not really a business. I don't think of myself as a business. And I'm going to kind of just say that's the first mistake, right? Not taking yourself seriously as this is a business. And I mean, one of the myths that I'd like to blow up straight away is this idea that yoga teachers shouldn't be making good money. Like, I'm totally not subscribing to that, and I don't subscribe. I think that people are making really, really good money from terrible, ridiculous things these days. Again, you just have to hop online and you'll see people making huge amounts of money doing harm in the world, let alone something neutral. And here we are doing really good work, like genuinely doing the work of the future. I mean, I look at the state of the world, I'm sure you do too, and feel quite depressed about what's happening and how people are and all the things. We don't need to talk about that right now, but I know you know that because you're yoga teachers, and so you want to make a difference, right? You want to help people regulate their nervous systems and show up as decent human beings and be kind and feel good in their bodies and, you know, be healthy and all of those things. I know that that's what you want for yourself and for your students. And so why not take ourselves really seriously in that and be ambitious? Why not be ambitious, right? And also be financially supported, because lots of other people are ambitious and financially supported, not doing good work in the world. So the more we take ourselves seriously and present ourselves seriously, the more other people will do that. And then we can really, build something that is successful and lucrative, and then we can do more good work in the world. And it's kind of like a snowball effect. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing this business training work. It was never part of what I thought I would do. But actually it turns out I also really love it, because I love watching people really grow their businesses. Just one story, a woman who just came up to our stand this morning, a beautiful woman called Angela, who joined our business program last year. When she joined the program, she was a newly retired, so she had been working, in her career, and she'd newly retired, and she's a yoga teacher, and she wanted to start sharing some classes in her community. And she was like, I'm not really sure, if I'll get people, or I don't know how to do marketing. I've never done it before. It wasn't her previous career, but I want to give it a go. And the way that and this is another piece of advice for you. So piece of advice number one, for those of you taking notes, is see yourself as a business. Take yourself seriously. See yourself as, yes, at the very least, I'm self-employed, but even better, I'm a business, right? A sole trader maybe, but I actually am here to generate income, right? That's the first piece. And then the second piece is play the long game. Right? There is no magic miracle overnight success. I mean, okay, there is, but it's like the 1%, right? Very rare, and probably a bit overwhelming for your nervous system too. So let's just do it slow and steady wins the race. I absolutely believe that. I've just explained to you, I've had a 30-year career in yoga and I'm still going. So my second piece of advice to you is, see it as a long game and build it slowly and steadily. So going back to Angela, this is what she did. She started doing some local marketing. She found a community center where she was going to run her classes. She started off with 2 people, which was her husband and a friend. And, slowly. And now to see her, I think it's 8 months later, and she came up to the store and she's like, I've got 10 regulars and they come and they love it and they're telling their friends and it's happening. And, this is how we build a business. 1 person, 2 people, 6 people, 10 people. It's beautiful. That's how it happens. And it feels very steady and very grounded and very possible, right? So if you feel like, well, I'm here and I want to be there and I just don't know how to bridge that gap, like I don't know how to go from here to there, whatever there might be, and that will be different for all of you. My big advice is 1 slow step at a time. And many of you are building businesses while you're also doing other things. Perhaps you have another job, or you're caring for children, or whatever it might be. And so we tend to do this. This is a psychology I see a lot with people and their businesses, is an all or nothing mentality, right? Which is like, well, I can't do it because I'm tired and I'm working and I'm busy so maybe next year, or maybe in the future, or when the kids are older, or when I quit my job, or whatever. But so often those things don't happen, or if they do happen, the space gets immediately filled, right? Like my mother retired a couple of years ago, and she was really worried that she was a school teacher, that she would retire and then have nothing to do and be bored, and like she was worried about retiring. I mean, I personally cannot wait to retire. I've got 5 children. I'm like, when you guys leave, I'm just going to lie in bed all day and read books. That's my entire retirement plan. I'm sure that won't happen, but like that's the fantasy. Anyway, she retired, and then now she says to me, oh, actually I have loads to do. She goes to keep fit and she's in this thing and that thing, and suddenly the time is filled, right? That's what happens. We create the little space and then I don't know what happens, like just the energy goes and fills it. So we have to be really intentional, and part of this slow and steady wins the race, or like building slowly, is actually doing something and doing it with consistency. So it might be, we've just had a group of teacher trainees graduate from the teacher training that I run, and my biggest advice to them is just start teaching something. Maybe it's only once a month, maybe it's a free volunteer class, maybe it's a community class, but get on the horse and start riding, because if you don't, it will become that thing of next year, next month, et cetera, et cetera. So wherever you're at in your business right now, I don't recommend like a goal that feels very far away or very intangible. Like, you know, if you are a brand new yoga teacher, you're probably not going to run a retreat with 30 people in 2 months' time. Maybe you will, but probably not. More likely, start subbing, start teaching a little bit, run a couple of community things, even just start teaching your friends in your lounge room at home, but do something. On our stall over, you know, we've got a stall for Bhakti business, and I'm working with my colleague Edwina. She has Shakti Creative. She's the social media whiz. So if you're interested in that, I definitely recommend you come to her session. It's at 3:00. A lot of people come over, even people with quite established businesses, and they're like, we say, oh, if you want to share your Instagram, you know, we can give you some feedback or ideas about Instagram. And they're like, oh, my Instagram's not very good. I haven't done very much with it, which is totally fine. But how do you go from, you know, 10 followers to 100 followers to 1,000 followers, one follower at a time, one post at a time, one story at a time? So if you keep putting it off and saying, oh, I'll get good at social media next year or later, guess what? It never happens. So just slow and steady steps. It's everything in life is like this. It's, you know, if you want to, I always use this analogy. It makes me laugh because I'm not a runner at all. Like, I'm so not a runner. But if you want to run a marathon, you don't get up one day and just run a marathon, right? Like, you start off with the 10K, the 5K, the 10K. Incrementally, you work your way into it. And equally, incrementally, you can go backwards as well. If you don't do any exercise, you're slowly going to get less and less fit and less healthy. So I really believe in this model for our businesses and for our work in the world of, like, get clearer in slow steps, put yourself out there in slow steps, monetize in slow steps. It doesn't all have to happen overnight. So that's my second big piece of advice. And then my third big piece of advice, and then I want to open up for questions because I'd really love to actually, you know, brainstorm some real life examples. But the third thing I want to share with you today is diversify your income streams. So there's this idea that as yoga teachers, the only way that we can make money is running around all over the place teaching in different locations, right? And teaching in a gym here, in the community center here, and I teach a Tuesday morning here, and like that. And it's really exhausting and unsustainable. I've had times in my career where I've taught 20 classes a week and I've been running around all over the place. Like I said, I've had my own studios. Now I teach mostly online. What I know to be true, actually, I'm going to give you another piece of advice in a minute. I'll give you a bonus number 4. But what I know to be true is that if you're just doing that, first of all, you're always going to have a cap on your income because there's only one of you and you have a finite amount of energy. And yoga is not that well paid. I don't know if you've noticed. But like, the rate has not gone up very much in the last 20 years. It's quite outrageous, actually. So we need to diversify our income streams. What does that mean? It means it might mean teaching some workshops. It might mean running an occasional retreat. It might mean, and this is the big one, this is the golden ticket, offering something online. So thinking of your business, because remember you have a business now, as a hybrid model where you teach some classes and you are, you know, in person and you're doing what you do, but also there's something additional that you're doing that's generating income for you online. And a lot of people get really nervous about that and they think, I don't have the following, I don't have the audience, I don't have the tech, I don't know how to do it. And I just want to tell you right now, it is so much more simple than you think and much easier. The barrier to entry is very low. And it's totally doable. My friend Edwina and I are running a free training online next week. I've just given you a little bookmark with the QR code where we're going to talk to you about how to create an online business. So if that's something you're like, yeah, that's interesting, but I don't think I could do it, come to that training because I think by the end of the 3 days, you'll believe that you could do it. That's our goal anyway. A big objection I know you're going to have, many of you will be thinking at least, is, but hasn't it all been already done before? And there's so many yoga teachers out there and the market's saturated and it's too late. And if you know, there's a great piece of yogic philosophy that is whatever you believe is true. So if you tell yourself that, then that will become your reality. But what I see to be true is the people who are creating really successful careers, particularly online, are the people that are doing things that are a little bit different or a little bit niche, or, and this is a big one at the moment, combining more than one modality, right? Or even more than one specialist area of interest. So I do believe it's not enough to just be a yoga teacher and like teach your classes online and put yourself out there in a very generic way. Like what type of yoga teacher? Oh, I just teach yoga, and who's it for? It's just for anyone, and it's community based, and it's like very vanilla. That is not going to sell. You're not going to become very successful unless you've been around for a long time, or there's, you know, some other, like something supporting you, like a funnel supporting you. But if you get really specific and you teach for a specific niche in a particular way, I'm talking about online now, you will be surprised at how quickly you can build and grow a business. There is absolutely potential for that. So as an example, my friend Edwina used to run a yoga and Ayurveda membership online that was for women, right? It's already a bit of a niche. It's 50% of the population, so you've already cut out half. And then after a couple of years, she decided to specialize in yoga and Ayurveda for women in perimenopause, at the beginning of menopause. And now she has that really clear niche, and she's known for it, and that's what she offers, and people come to her for that. And when women sign up for that online offering, it's because they are women and they are in that particular stage of life and they want support with it. She's still a yoga teacher and she's making money online, but she's doing it in a very specific way. So how do you figure out what your niche will be? Look at what you're interested in. Look at what you're already doing. Like, what do you love? When you have free time, what do you read? What do you want to talk about? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What's the algorithm sending you? And then think about ways that you can take those unique facets of who you are and combine them with your yoga teaching to make something that is unique. And perhaps the unique element is that it's just you, and that people just actually like you, right? And they feel a resonance with you. And one thing about niching, there's so much I could say on this, and I'm aware that I'm just kind of giving you a lot in a very short time. But one thing I'll say about it is, when you do choose a niche, you are automatically excluding some people. And people worry about that. Oh, what if I get too specialist, then, you know, what if there's people that want to come and then it's not for them? They will go and they will find the person that's right for them. Like, you know, to give the example of the perimenopause membership, the men or the young women or whatever will go and find a different thing that's good for them. But for the people that are in your niche, the right people, you are teaching exactly what they need to learn. The first time I ran the business training that we offer, we made this mistake ourselves, even though I coach against it. We wanted to do business training for yoga teachers, and we got a bit nervous that maybe that's too niche. So we opened it up for spiritual entrepreneurs, whatever that means. And, you know, we ran this training for spiritual entrepreneurs. And guess what? 90% of the people who signed up were yoga teachers. And then we were like, okay, the universe is teaching us a lesson here. It's for yoga teachers. So what I do is I run a business training for yoga teachers. How did that happen? Because I was a yoga teacher for a long time. People started to ask me about business training, and those people were yoga teachers because that was my world. It's a very niche-y niche, but you're all part of that niche. So it goes to show that there's a business there, right? I'll give you one more example and then we'll open up for questions. There's a beautiful business that a woman who has niched really successfully online. I don't know this woman, but her branding is really good and her marketing is very clever. It's called Hips of Honey, right? And she specializes, first of all, isn't that just the most beautiful image? Like, doesn't it immediately make your hips feel good? So clever. This is good branding, right? Really good marketing. Like, straight away, 3 words, she got me, Hips of Honey. And then she specializes in loosening up psoas muscle, releasing sacral pain and hip mobility, right? So if she'd called it loosen up your psoas muscle, release hip pain and increase your hip mobility or your pelvis mobility, it's like, yeah, okay, that's interesting. But Hips of Honey, I'm in, right? So it's like, she's found her thing. That's what she does. It's a niche. It's something very specific. And she's got good marketing, good branding, a good name for it that immediately makes you go, oh yeah, that sounds great. So this is another thing. And actually Edwina will talk a lot more about this afternoon. So if you're here and this is helpful, definitely come back for her 3 o'clock session where she'll be talking about how to find the words and the images and the feeling of what you do and communicate that in a way that people want it, right? Because they can feel it. And in the online space, a lot of that is about branding, because that's what stops the scroll. That's what gets people, interested. Okay, I didn't even bring my phone. I'm so hopeless. What's the time, please, someone?
11:41.
Okay, so I have 20-ish minutes. Is that correct? Yes, this is a 45-minute session. I'm asking the audience. Help me with my time management. And I'm a yoga teacher. If I was teaching a yoga class, I would have a clock, but I didn't even bring my phone. Sorry? I have 4 minutes. It's only a half-hour session. Oh my God. Okay. Ask me a question. Make it a good one. Yes.
How to price our yoga classes?
Great question. Such a good question. Oh my goodness. It so depends on your mood, doesn't it? Have you ever had times where you okay, I'm going to do my pricing and I'm in a really good mood and I'm feeling so good about my, what I do is great and I'm positive about it and I've got, I've put all my time and energy into training and I know it's a good offer and I'm going to charge $1 million for it and I'm absolutely sure that people are going to come and they're going to pay and that's great. And you're feeling pumped. It's going to be $1 million. And then you go to bed that night, you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, everyone else is doing the same thing as me and I'm not sure if it's that good and I'm feeling really tired and I don't like my branding anymore and it's not worth $1 million, it's only worth $1. And even then, actually maybe no one's going to come, I'm going to make it free. Okay, it's free. I'm doing it for free. That's that. And then you go to bed that night, you wake up the next morning and you feel good again and you're like, oh, it's worth $1 million today, right? The roller coaster. And this isn't just about pricing. This is about how we feel about ourselves in business and putting ourselves out there. So the first thing that Patanjali teaches us in the Yoga Sutra is don't trust your mind. Yoga Sutra 101, right? Yogaschita vritti nirodha. Yoga happens when your mind starts to calm down a little bit. Nothing is more triggering than running your own business, or maybe parenting. Parenting's hard. Running your own business is a massive immersion in personal development, right? And you cannot trust your monkey mind. It was Patanjali's big advice, and he was correct. So we just have to go with some consistency, even when our mood and our emotion is telling us something else. And again, parenting is a very good example of that too. So if you run your business like a yogi, this is what I recommend. You make decisions when you're in a well-calibrated frame of mind about things like pricing and marketing and all of the things. Pricing is one part, but there's other components. And when you're in that good state of mind, you make the decision. And I literally, when I say this, I'm like, if I was going to price something, let's say I'm running a new workshop, I'm trying to decide what it's going to cost. I really make time to think about the pricing and I bring myself into a good mental state to do it. So I will do it when I'm at home, when I've got time to think. I might light a candle, I might meditate and really feel it in my body, because if you're not aligned with your pricing, you won't be good at selling, right? If you feel like you're undervaluing yourself, you'll always feel a bit resentful. And if you feel like you've overinflated the price, you'll always feel icky and like, oh, it feels a bit too much kind of thing. There's a sweet spot, and actually you'll get feedback in your body. You'll feel it. You'll be like, this is my price, and you'll feel like it's the right price, like it feels okay. It sounds like a very woo-woo answer to your question, but honestly, the answer is decide on your pricing when you're in a very well-calibrated place, when your nervous system feels steady, and when it feels aligned internally, not because someone else told you what to do. The other thing I will say about pricing is that most women radically undervalue themselves, radically. So a business coach I have, who's a brilliant, brilliant woman called Rachel Rogers, she says, come up with your aligned pricing and then double it, and that's probably fair. Specifically for women. She works with women of colour. So she says, like minority groups, women of colour will automatically often undervalue themselves. So they need to double what they're doing, what they're pricing themselves at. She wrote a book called We Should All Be Millionaires. And if you're thinking about pricing, I recommend you read that book. Even if you're just thinking about business, trust me, that book is brilliant. We Should All Be Millionaires, Rachel Rogers. The pieces I talked about, niching and diversifying income, are also mentioned in that book, and she's a genius. So I highly recommend that book. I know that doesn't really answer your question specifically. It depends on individual business, what, like for example, a weekend retreat, right? I could run a weekend retreat in a ashram that's very basic with shared dorm rooms and one pot food that's really simple, and I could charge $300 for the weekend. Or I could run a weekend retreat where it's like super luxe 6-star gourmet chef private room and charge $3,000 for the weekend. And both are fine, both are fair. So pricing depends on offer and it depends on audience and what you're trying to do and who it's for. But the most important thing is that it feels you can back yourself on it. Because if you can't, you won't sell. And one of the biggest blocks to selling is that you're not okay with your pricing. Yeah.
Would that, is there somewhere, because you were saying earlier that the rate of yoga teacher can increase in like over 10 years. Is there somewhere that we can find like what essentially the bare minimum is meant to be? Just for teaching alone. I know that with subbing they'll dictate the pricing. But is there, like, if you're going to run your own? Well,
it's the price is what the studio's paying, right? That's it. Like there's no governing body. I mean, there's places like Yoga Australia that have recommended suggestions, but it's what people are willing to accept. And the industry has not grown in terms of how it prices teachers. And I also feel for studios, because it's really hard running a yoga studio these days. I was a studio owner. I would have loved to pay my teachers more, but I couldn't afford to because I wouldn't have been able to pay my rent. So it's really difficult. A lot of the big gyms, like, you know, your Elixirs and your Virgin Actives and all of those types of places are out competing individual yoga studios now, so that makes it hard, and they don't pay well. It's a whole thing. What I do recommend, diversify income. So what I would do if I was starting out as a new teacher now, or even if I was teaching classes out in the world, I would do some teaching for other people, like, you know, a gym, a yoga studio, whatever. And I would also be making sure I set up some of my own classes, at least 1 or 2 a week, have them be your class that you're in charge of. You rent the venue, you do the marketing, and you keep the money. And in the beginning, you'll make less because you might get 2 or 3 people, but when you get up to 10 people, 15 people, then you'll be making a lot more. Again, playing the long game, right? Yeah. What's unfortunate, and I do feel strongly about this in the yoga industry, is that new, less experienced teachers earn almost the same as experienced teachers that have been around for a long time, and that is not right. There's very few other industries where we see people that have been doing something for 30 years being paid the same as people that are doing, and I'm not saying this about myself because I don't teach, I generate my own income now online, but people that have just finished teacher training, there's no apprenticeship rate, and I kind of feel like there should be. That's normal for many other industries. No one's kicking us out, so we'll just keep going until we get told off. Feel free to leave if you want to go to another session. Does anyone have another question? A question? A doubt or hesitation about your business? What's something you're struggling with?
I have been putting online business for a while. For the last 2 years, I did a few yoga classes, which is online. So, but then I haven't get the confidence to run a full yoga program online. So what I'm doing, I'm having my own business. I'm trauma-informed yoga teacher, teaching Arabic yoga.
Oh, I love it. See, niche, so good. Trauma-informed yoga teacher teaching yoga in Arabic. So good. That's a niche-y niche.
Straight away when I learn it, I do it in Arabic.
Yes.
I'm Arabic.
Yes, I got that. Yep.
Yeah. So I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I didn't know because I learned it in English.
Yep.
I feel like this is my own language. I can do it. Just sit down on the mat and do it in Arabic, and it was successful.
Yeah, of course.
It's not my full-time business.
Yeah.
I'm generating like 15% of my income.
Yeah.
My other job, which I cannot. I wish that I can do yoga full-time.
Yeah.
This is what I love.
Yeah.
I got lots of people overseas,
Yeah.
different countries,
Yeah.
which they are Arabic, relatives, friends,
Yeah.
people they want to. I have been putting online free celebrating my business
Yeah.
online, but I haven't put it as full. I don't know.
That's why you're asking about pricing.
Yeah.
Yes. So you need a whole system, and you need basically what we call in the online marketing world a funnel, right? How people come in for free and then they pay you something small, and then maybe you also then have a bigger program, they pay you something big. This is how you can really serve an online community, right? And this works across almost, I mean, this is what I'm doing right now. I am demonstrating this to you, right? You're here as part of Yoga Day. I'm here because I genuinely want to support you, and I hope you get something good from this. And if I never see you again, I really hope it was helpful. That's genuinely my intention. And also, I hope that you'll come to the free thing I'm running next week and we can get to know each other better. And then I really hope that you'll pay me lots of money to teach you thoroughly how to do this and, you know, hold your hand through the whole process. So this is literally like I'm doing what I'm encouraging you to do. So you've already done the first few parts, right? You've got the concept, which is brilliant. You've started putting yourself out there. Your next step is the monetizing, like how to convert. And I really want you to come to the 3-part training we're going to run next week, because we're going to show you literally how to do that. And you'll probably need a little bit more tech, like you'll need to be able to take a payment online and explain to people how to pay, sort out your pricing, but you're so close to being able to do that because you've already built the foundation. And this is what I mean by, such a good example, thank you. It's like I planted you there. This is what I mean by slow and steady wins the race, right? Can you see she's come up with the idea, she's doing it from passion. It's not like she didn't think, oh, what would be a really good yoga idea? I know, I'll do Arabic yoga. No, it's like, this is just who I am. It's what I want to do. It's a passion project. You're amazing. It's so good. Now you deserve to make some money from it, right? It's time.
I have my own classes.
Yeah.
I have my own community. I don't work with other people because I'd like to do it my own way.
Yes.
I don't like to do it I don't like giving me regulations and
Yeah.
with that. I don't like to teach in the gym. I don't like to do I do work with communities. I work with community bodies, stars, like other community bodies,
Yeah.
migrants. But then online, what I was thinking, I was feeling like when I'm coming to like pricing, I have people who's coming per person, like personal, in person, they coming to my yoga class, and then they pay, for instance, $20 per class. Okay. Then I was thinking, if that person will come online, okay, should I let that person pay $20 or because I don't have to pay for the whole.
Yeah. So generally the online will be a little bit less, but come to the training next week and we'll talk about it in more detail. There's lots of different nuance around that we can discuss. There's lots of different ways of thinking about it, but you're onto something and you can definitely build from where you are. Like, I have no doubt whatsoever. So sign up for the free training and we'll go more. I would love to chat more. We have to go. We are getting kicked out now. But give me, on the white card, write your email address. You'll go in the draw to run off to win for our full training. And you've also got the little bookmark for the free training next week. Sign up for that because I'll give you a lot more. There'll be a workbook. There'll be a whole bunch of resources. And if you can't join live, you'll get the recording. And if you want to chat with me now as I'm leaving, feel free to grab me. And if you have a question, I'm more than happy to answer it. Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much.